Okay, so this is going to be one of the most strange things that we discuss, but we're going to talk about how employee satisfaction or employee happiness, you can always tell by the simplest things that employee do in front of consumers. So I was at Academy Sports today and I was looking for shoes. Bottom line is I needed new shoes because my exercise regimen kind of ruins shoes really quick. And I realized that first off, the manufacturers, they could probably develop more durable shoes. They just choose not to because they want the repeat customer average of about 6 to 9 months. You have to replace your shoes. Most of the time, some people can make it about a year. So the average length of shoes is about every single year you have to replace them. On average, about every 8 months, the normal person replaces shoes. So you always have a continuous in-stream of people buying shoes all the time. That's great, but if it was more durable, it would be nicer because first off, fashion industry, clothing industry of any sort is always such a terrible environmental thing. And I think people should realize that and maybe tell these companies, make stuff that's more durable. And realistically, if you pay a higher price, and I use this as an example, so you buy a shoe for $70, $80, whatever, and it lasts you, and you have to replace it every 8 months. Let's just say something that lasts twice as long, 16 months. Now, if you paid $100 for a pair of shoes that last 16 months instead, the company would make so much more profit, so their bottom line doesn't get hurt. But the environment gets saved quite a bit because we would have less required manufacturing, better quality manufacturing at the same time. People like to get stuck in their way. So it's just kind of like you don't have to go to the store every 8 months. Now it's every 16 months instead. So there's a benefit to the environmental side of, driving to the store every 8 months versus every 16 months to buy a pair of shoes. It doesn't seem like a lot, but every little bit actually adds up. Say you have to drive 5 miles. Well, that's overall 10 miles less you would have to buy, or 10 miles less you would have to drive for shoes for 16 months. So let's talk about the customer benefit overall. So I was looking for a pair of shoes, and the saddest thing is I would think it looks like there's always organization to how they have the sizes. Smaller sizes are on the bottom, larger sizes are on the top. I wear wide shoes mainly because it's just more comfortable for me. But when I'm looking for shoes, the problem is the way people stock the shoes, and I know it's part of it has to deal with the amount of space you have. So there's always two layers to shoes, so one on the outside and one on the inside, so they can stock more shoes. So customers they can get their shoes a lot easier overall. Now, one of the things I've noticed every Academy store that I've ever been in is the way they stock shoes. You see there's a lack of organization. So you know that the employees are not the happiest employees at Academy. And the reason why is like if you have on the bottom shelf size 8 and size 9s in that area, okay, that makes sense. But when you notice organization wise, at the very top you have size 8s in the back, and then at the bottom shelves in the back you have size 12s and size 13s, and somewhere in between about middle height or so you have all of the sizes disorganized. Then you know one thing is the employees actually don't care how well the company does, because they look at it this way: so long as the customers have it there, nobody's going to bitch and complain about it, which there is a truth to that. But it's the reality is this is how the simplest things in human psychology will tell you, hey, this employee is happy or unhappy with their work environment. Go figure. I'm an organized person. I'm somewhat I'm somewhat OCD'd about how organized I am with certain things. So when I notice these things, yeah, it isn't an annoyance, it's an inconvenience. But I mean, it literally, I have to go through shelves and shelves and shelves because they're organized, they're not there within a localized area of their style, of their color, or whatever it is. Well, if an employee were to do that, that would make the customer experience better. We probably respect the employees a lot more, but in this social environment, a job as somebody who stocks shoes or so, yes, they're not designed to be the smartest person in the world, because people who stock shoes, let's be honest here, you're there because you're either there temporarily because you're working at school and trying to build your life, or you're there because that's the only job available. Realistically, it's always the only job available overall. You didn't make it to become a doctor, an engineer, an architect, or something like that. So there's a part of it that comes to knowledge education, and the truth is common sense. It is something that is trained in people. It is not something that people have innately. So education, you have to deal with the fact that people are not the smartest when it comes to being the person who stocks shoes. But of course, when the company doesn't support the first line employees well, and they're unhappy, you get the same result anyways. If somebody's happy, then they'll do a really good job. And it's not always about the pay, it's about the work environment. You're going to be in front of consumers. There's always going to be a Karen, or whatever you want to call it nowadays. There's always going to be somebody that's gripey, that's fussy, that's complaining. There's always going to be a situation where you don't have the product they're looking for, you're out of stock, or whatever it is. But imagine how much more efficient all of this would be for the employees overall if something as simple as stocking things in an organized fashion, in an organized manner, would help the customer experience, would help the employee experience, but would improve the efficiency of sales in the long run. Thank you.